Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sea King Banter. I am obviously Sea King, and today, because of some complications with some schedules, today I'm going to be debating our longtime moderator, Flair.
Hello, everyone.
Now, the format for this particular debate is going to be very similar to the format of another debate that we did. We're basically going to be discussing creative liberty versus creative butchery. Now, this can obviously be seen in a lot of movies and other works where they will take a source material and try to adapt it to film or play or things of that nature. And they will either do really, really good, even though it differs from the source material, or it'll do really, really bad. Some examples of this, obviously, would be like Lord of the Rings, where Lord of the Rings, even though the book is technically better, it differed from the source material in a lot of ways, but still turned out with a good product. A bad example of this would be something like Percy Jackson, Aragon, Dark Tower, Dune, personally. So it's like you have the source materials, and they just didn't really live up to their legends from the books. That being the case, like I said, we're going to be doing this format in a little bit different way. I have a list of, and since obviously we're doing the superhero season, I have a list of most of the superhero movies that have come out since movies. And we're basically going to go through them individually. Some of these will obviously be really quick, but then others will probably have to debate whether or not they're actually good. So, that being said, I'm going to probably start off a little strong, and I'm going to make a bold statement. Now, some of these I can already tell some people are not going to like that I don't think are good. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I'm going to start off with an incredibly bold claim. I don't think they've ever made a good Superman movie, ever.
Man of Steel was terrible. We can start there.
Yeah, that's the thing. And none. Like they've made like probably 8 Superman movies, and they're all cheeks.
Would you say that the original Superman movie, uh, 1978, was is simply just outdated, or was it poor in and of itself?
It was poor in of itself. I think that no Superman movie has ever been truly done right. I think the older ones were. I think there was a time where um, superhero movies tended to be a little bit more on the comedic side. They tried to have a lot of comedic overtones, be silly. Even Batman in the early days, when he was more of a detective than he really was a crime fighter, had very comedic overtones. But Superman, whenever put to film, to me has always just been a joke. I will say that I think Henry Cavill. I love Henry Cavill to death. I think he's a super fantastic actor and everything. And I think he tried his best for Superman when he played him. I think that was kind of the closest thing to a good Superman I've seen. But they tried to like almost deify him in a way in the movies, like, oh, he's floating down with the sun behind him, like he's God, and that's not how who Superman was. And plus, he never smiled.
Now, as for the recent Superman movies, I tend to agree with you. I do think, though, that the Christopher Reeves Superman movies, now it has been a while, granted, did kind of set the stage for superhero movies as a whole. And despite the movie itself, I do think that there's something to say about the value that he gave to the film industry as far as making superhero movies relevant in the first place.
I understand that, but here's the thing: there are a lot of things that you can say are the stepping stones when it comes to anything, right? But that doesn't necessarily make them good.
I'll agree with you from today's standards for sure. For a lot of reasons, technological limitations, and the fact that it was the Wild West as far as script writing goes.
I, like, here's the thing: I will say that I won't judge today's standards when it comes to VFX and things like that by current day standards to old standards, right? Like, for example, I just rewatched Neverending Story. And if I was to judge Neverending Story's look to, to today's movie, it looks like dog shit. However, I would never do that to that story because I think that for its time, especially, people love practical effects. I think that it looks very, very unique and really great. I know, I know. I know, I know. Fro Girl is a freakishly um, fan of Neverending Story. So that's why she's saying tread lightly. But no, that's what I'm saying. For its time, it looked really, really good. It had really good practical effects. I was looking at some of the characters and I'm like, I wonder even how they did some of these things. You know what I mean? And so I won't judge how movies look back then to what they do now. They did the best of what they had for some things, anyways. So I won't judge them that way. But I'm just talking about story, acting, things of that nature. Something that like it wouldn't matter the time. You know what I mean? And I just don't think any Superman movie captures Superman correctly.
Now, that being said, there is a steep drop off for Superman 2 and Superman 3, talking
Mm-hmm.
about Christopher Reeves. Uh, it didn't repeat its success very well at all. Um, so I do understand the sentiment, but I think I'll have to disagree on the first one at the very least, just because of the performance, the duality of Clark Kent versus Superman.
How well do you remember that movie?
Slightly.
Like, I was gonna ask you for a recap because I'm trying to remember it. Because, like you said, it's an old movie, but I remember just watching a recap maybe a month or two ago of that movie, and it's just not great. Like, there's a lot of just I don't know. Here's the thing: the people who made Superman made him based off of Moses. He was supposed to stand for something. He's supposed to be a symbol, right? He's supposed to be incredibly kind, incredibly wise, and he's supposed to be like the ray of hope in a dark world, in my opinion, anyways. But that's kind of how he's portrayed in comics, where you can always depend on Superman. No problem is too big or small for him, and I think they tried to capture that in the newest um, Superman movie with I don't know the actor's name, but the newest one, the one that came out like within a year.
Right.
I think they tried to portray that by him saving little animals. Yeah, I agree with what Incognito said. The films tend to focus more on his powers than his actual personality. And I think they try really hard in the newest Superman movie where he was saving little woodland creatures and squirrels and crap like that. But unless you're PETA, or some kind of crazy animal activist, nobody gives a shit. They should have showed Superman like walking old ladies across the street and maybe playing basketball with some kids. Like show some kind of humanity. Don't just be like, oh yeah, let's just show him some quick clips of freaking him saving little animals. Like that's what they did in Spider-Man's movie with Tom Holland. Like when they showed in the beginning of his movie, they did exactly what I described, where they had him walking around. People were asking him for directions. He was talking and high fiving people. You know what I mean? And then he saved, and it showed a lot more humanity. But they never, ever catch his humanity in his in Superman movies. They show it's basically 9 times out of 10 about Lois. Like they might as well just call it Super Lois because that's what it's about. It's about him trying to get bitches.
With that last point, I do think that you've swayed me a bit. Superman as an icon and emblem in the comics has never really been translated that well to the movies. Even when we're talking about the Christopher Reeves ones, it's all about the powers. So I do see what you're saying, especially in the face of the giants that I imagine we'll be talking about very soon.
Yeah. So here's what I'll do. I'll do one movie that I thought was done really well, and then one movie that I thought was done poorly. That way, it kind of gives a balance. I'm not just shitting on movies for 2 hours. So, example of a movie that I thought that did really well, or I thought was good, anyways, in comparison to the comics, was Jonah Hex.
Jonah Hex, I'm unfamiliar.
Oh. Um, Incognito just wants a roast. I could do a roast for two straight. I could do a roast for 2 days, but I'm trying to be a little bit fair here. Jonah Hex is to me very similar to Ghost Rider in a way. Uh, there's more where that came from. I don't know why I deleted your message. I guess because you're writing a lot. I don't know how Nightbot works, to be perfectly honest. So I apologize that your message got deleted. Um, oh, all right, man. Don't stop. Y'all gotta stop doing caps. But like I was gonna say, Jonah Hex to me is similar to Ghost Rider in a way. It's about like a cowboy betrayed, died, came back as some kind of spirit of vengeance type deal. I've only seen it maybe a couple times, but like Jonah Hex, he wasn't a super popular character to begin with, And so when this movie came out, they chose a really good actor for it. And it was a pretty good movie. But if you haven't seen it, then we can't really do a whole lot of discussing on it. So let's go back to the bad movie.
Sure.
Catwoman was dog shit.
Oh yeah, no question.
Catwoman was utterly garbage. I'm sorry, man. You ever talk about a dumpster fire of a movie? And don't get me wrong, I love who played Catwoman in that movie? Halle Berry? No, not Halle Berry. Was it Halle Berry? Who played Catwoman?
Let's see. I'm not. I don't have a penchant for actors.
Uh,
Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. So it was Halle Berry. I said Halle Berry, right? I didn't say some other name.
You did.
It don't matter which if there was two or not. Both of them were garbage. Straight ass. Like it was a pretty dog shit movie, right? Like dog shit movie, dog shit premise. They took away what made her like unique and tried to give her powers. Just horrible.
Yeah, poor acting. Cliche as hell.
Yeah, it was pretty fucking dog shit. So I won't really dwell on that one too much. Back to what was good. I thought the first Wonder Woman movie was good.
Let's see.
When I say
I have to
first,
remember which one is which because I've seen multiples.
the the first one with Gal Gadot.
Okay, yeah.
I had to pull her name out of the trenches of my memory. I think that yeah, I thought the first one was good. I thought it had really sufficient action, and if you agree, I'm not going to get too much into it. But yeah, I thought it was really, really good. It had its problems, right? Like personally, I think that they probably should have done without a love interest. I feel like it would have been a lot better to take out some of the love interest because Wonder Woman's always just been about action. You know what I mean?
It has. That's
And,
for sure.
and so I think they should have just did a straight action movie about Wonder Woman. Like it should have just been like hit after hit of straight action, and I think this shit would have did absolute numbers. Um, on that same breath, Wonder Woman 2 was dog shit. Or I think it was like Wonder Woman 1984 or something. It was bad. It was horrid.
I have an overarching belief system about superhero movies that you may agree or disagree with, but I think it applies here more than anything. It, you can do superhero origin movies and you can do superhero team up movies. Anything else will usually be very middling. And the reason for that is because when you see the first of a superhero installment, like the Wonder Woman movie we're talking about, it's about Wonder Woman. It's about Iron Man. It's about Hulk, whatever. That one wasn't too good. But we'll get into that later, I imagine. Uh,
Mm.
it's about the story of Wonder Woman. She's with the Amazonians, and everything goes down, and she tries to find her way in the world and come into her position of authority or giving or whatever it is she might do. When you make the second one, it can no longer be about Wonder Woman because chronologically you're now familiar with the character. It's about all of the side characters. But in the comics, those side characters are used to prop up the identity of the hero. That's something that can't translate very well into movies.
Mm. No, I agree with you. Uh, we're gonna get to Iron Man. Let's go down this list first. Believe it or not, it's kind of DC heavy first. Then we kind of get into Marvel.
Sure.
Um, I just named a bad one, right? Uh, I thought the first Aquaman movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Again, origin movies, they usually hit home.
Yeah, I think you're kind of right about that. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. I loved the fact that they kind of rebranded Aquaman. I think they couldn't have chose a better actor. I think Jason Momoa is great. He's really funny and cool. And plus, I always thought that Aquaman's original design was a little lame, and so them are branding him almost a little bit more sea monster esque instead of goldfish. I thought was a lot better. So I personally liked it a lot. Now that being said, I've never seen the second one because I was somewhat boycotting it because Amber Heard was in it, and this was around the time of the whole, Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
We remember.
Yeah, of course. And so I said I wasn't going to watch it unless they cut all of her scenes.
I mean,
And
to be fair, around when they were doing the whole Flash thing is when I dropped off of DC. What was the movie where Superman and Wonder Woman and I can't remember who the third one was teamed up to fight? Was it Doomsday?
Batman.
Yeah, yeah. This one came out right after Batman versus Superman. I think that's when I stopped watching the DC movies.
Uh, that was a good time to stop because everything. Well, there was a couple actually that I think were okay, right? But we'll get to those in a second. But I agree with what Incognito says 100%. Flash movie, garbage, absolute trash. like they tried to take. Yeah, that movie was, and Incognito is a super Flash fan, and he thought that shit was dog shit. Like it was pretty fucking bad. They tried to take Flashpoint, which was a whole big. It's a very popular story in DC with the Flash, where it goes back in time, changes things, and then changes the future, and it just goes absolutely haywire. And they tried to do something similar, and it fell on its fucking face. Incognito says the best part of the movie was the credits. All right. Yeah. Then they had to mess it up with end credit scenes. No, I'm just joking. But no, that movie was absolute dog shit. Did you ever see it? You said you stopped watching it after Doomsday, so you didn't see the Flash.
Right.
Yeah, you did the right thing because everything after that was pretty garbage. That's why they had to end their whole freaking they ended the DCEU after the second Aquaman movie, and they were like, we're gonna have to scrap all this and just start over because it was just like dog shit after dog shit, and they were trying to be a lot more like Marvel, where it's like, hey, let's make everything funny, and it's like, let's calm down.
Yeah, there's something to be said about the humor aspect too, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice League was solid. It was good. It was better than the original dog shit they released. Too bad it was just freakishly long. I tend not to like I have to be really invested to sit there for 3 hours watching anything, which is the only reason why I sat down for Infinity War because I was pretty invested. Um, Back to a good one. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do both of these at the same time because one's good and one's bad again.
Sure.
How did you feel about the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix?
The first one was incredible, and the second one tried to hold that lightning in a bottle and shot itself in the foot with it.
Yeah, it didn't just shoot itself in the foot with it. It went through his foot, bounced off the concrete, hit six neighbor children, and then and then blew back and blew his brains out, just like the person who made that movie should have did. Like it was.
You know, the reason that the second one fell so short of the first one is because of what made the first Joker movie was Joaquin Phoenix. It was him. His character portrayal. That movie was nothing without that actor. I think the script was pretty good as far as that goes, but it couldn't have been carried by anyone else. And then when they tried to take the focus away from Joker, even just a little bit, it fell apart.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people are kind of like on the fence when it comes to Lady Gaga. I think she was the one who did the who played Harley Quinn in the second movie.
Hmm.
I think she's not a bad actor. She's obviously a good singer. I've seen her in other things like A Star Is Born, which I was working at a movie theater at the time that that came out, and I had to listen to the songs every freaking day. But I I hate the person who made the movie. Like I hate him. Like I hate him so much because and he had the audacity to be like, "Oh, well, I did it on purpose." Like, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't.
Right.
If everybody loved that movie, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, 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 it was supposed to be good." But because everybody hated it, now it's like, "Oh yeah, I wanted everybody to hate it." Like, no, you didn't. Like, I've never seen somebody put effort into anything and be like, "Oh yeah, the point is to be hated." Like, shut up. It's absolute
When
bullshit.
it leaked that the second movie was going to be a musical, I was hoping with everything in me that the musical aspects would only come from Joker and Harley Quinn, uh, to show like a mental incongruity with the rest of society, right? Because that's the whole idea is that these are two very mentally sick people. And if they were the only ones ever singing, and if it was juxtaposed by, kind of every day with all of the background actors, I thought there might be some hope, but that is not how it went down.
And just like what kind of Green Queen said, I actually didn't think the song parts were too bad. I thought that it could have been okay because I think that if you have two people in a mental asylum, everybody like they're singing in their mind, where you're like, oh, okay, these people are just crazy and they're having crazy. This is almost like from the viewpoint of a crazy person, where everything in your mind is music and stuff like that. I think that they could have played it really well if they actually gave a shit. But what actually to me kind of screwed that movie was the story. Like it's just the story. Like they wanted to pull the wool over your eyes so bad. And I've seen this in a lot of movies where it's like, haha, we're gonna hit him with the twist or the gotcha. And it just fell flat on its face. It was utter just garbage.
Terrible.
Yeah. So the first one was great. I thought it was a really unique way of portraying the Joker. I liked that he wasn't just like, oh yeah, same old mastermind fell into a vat, blah 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 blah. It was like showing a person, and that was kind of the. I think it was very reminiscent of the Killing Joke, where it's like somebody just had one really bad day. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that was kind of Joker's point that if somebody just had one really bad day, um, then they could also be like him.
Yeah, and
And
you hit the nail on the head because the whole concept of the first movie was that the role of the Joker happened to him. It wasn't something that he did until he was already very deep into the whole, paint on the face crazy mentality. Uh, if they had done it to where the Joker had agency in anything really, then it might not have came out the same way.
to answer your question, incognito, we could do TV shows. I was mostly doing movies, but let's be honest. Unless it's animated, there is no good superhero TV shows. like, like none of them. Like most of them are made by WB. WB is a garbage churning out machine, and they're all fucking terrible. Like I can't think of a superhero TV show that was not animated that was worth even mentioning. And I wasn't gonna go to Marvel's TV shows either because all their live action TV shows are garbage, right? Like, don't even get me started on Ironheart. I could write a book about everything wrong with Ironheart. Black Adam's on the list, so just gotta wait for Black Adam. So yeah, no, I wasn't gonna go to TV shows. They just don't. A good one doesn't exist. If you can name a good one, by all means. Again, that's not animated. I'll give you that challenge. Um. So yeah, we talked about the Joker movies. Let's another bad one. Constantine.
I haven't seen this one.
with oh my god, I'm gonna Keanu Reeves.
I am looking it up right now.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was basically about John Constantine who sold his soul to the devil. Well, he sold his soul to a lot of demons. And as a result, basically became immortal because he tricked a bunch of demons and learned a bunch of magic. And his character concept is super fantastic and interesting and awesome, and he goes around and he fights demons. But the movie was like a, it's like they just gave $1,000 to a crackhead and was like, "Hey, go make a movie about a guy who fights demons," and then he did it, and it has nothing to do, almost nothing to do with the original source material. Like, he wasn't even blonde. like I hated it. Like John Constantine. First things first, his name is actually pronounced John Constantine, but they changed that. But I'm not going to give too much trouble about it because they change it all the time. But John Constantine's he was supposed to be blonde. He's supposed to smoke a lot, and he fights demons. It's a very simple concept. Yeah, Detective West. But they just didn't do anything like that. It was basically just Keanu Reeves fighting demons. You could have called it Hellboy, and it would have made just as much sense.
Well, that's a shame because looking at it, it seems like a pretty solid concept.
Yeah, it really was, and they fucked it. Super disappointing. I would have forgiven it if he smoked regularly in it, but the thing about it, like, because that's Constantine's whole thing is that he smokes like a chimney, and he just didn't. I could have forgiven the fact that he wasn't blonde. Like, how hard is it to go and get a freaking box of hair dye? You could have dyed it back. Seen people shave their head for movies. You can't dye your hair or get a wig. Back on the good. Now I'm gonna have to do a double one for this one too. Suicide Squad.
I think they're both bad. Listen, I love Deathstroke. I don't like either of them.
Now, hear me out. I thought the first one was obviously dog shit, right? Especially because what they did to Joker.
Right?
Um, and I think I've seen lots of memes where it's like, man, Will Smith was trying his best to save that movie because he was like, he was trying so hard. So now you stay in the chat. You knew this was gonna. You knew this was gonna happen. You're gonna sit here. And you're gonna listen. But no, freaking. I'm sorry, but it's just not good. Like I really wish it was. I wish it was. But they're those. Here's the thing. I think they had all the makings of a good movie, but the problem with the first one was the problem was too big. Everything else would have been okay except Joker. We're obviously in accord that the Joker's portrayal was an abomination before before God, right? But the story was just too big for them, right? It was a Justice League level threat, and you're sending a guy with a boomerang, a crazy bitch with a bat, a crocodile, a fire shaman, and who else was even on the Suicide Squad? Was anybody else that I missed?
Deathstroke.
Oh yeah, and Deathstroke, a guy with a gun, right? So a guy with a gun, a guy with a boomerang. Oh, the boomerang guy was even in the first one, was he? No, he
It's been a
was.
while.
I think he was. Cause I remember him throwing him. I remember, he was still in the movie. I remember him throwing a boomerang with a camera on it, and the camera had like zoom-in capabilities and wasn't spinning. Like it was just so stupid.
I think that it had pacing issues too. The way that the I guess progression of the plot uh played into itself was very poor in my opinion. They did the whole like I'm assembling a squad thing, and then they had all the characters talk to each other for a little while to give it a sense of, teamwork, and oh, this guy doesn't like this guy and this guy likes this guy. And then by the end of the movie, and after the single scene with Joker in it that didn't need to be in there in the first place, it all just kind of resolved itself.
Yeah, like it was bad. It was a terrible movie. And now here's where I'm gonna give you a little bit of pushback. I didn't think that the second one, the one that had Idris Elba in it, was bad. Granted, I think that the threat was still too big, like because they're trying to portray them as like superheroes in a way, and they're not. They're a bunch of bad guys that are being forced to do missions. If you're comparing it to the source material, then I obviously think it wasn't good. However, because the problem this time was a little bit more manageable and realistic, I thought that it was better. Plus, there's no Joker to kind of,
It's
I
a big point there.
yeah, I cannot stress how bad the Joker was. But you really think the one with Idris Elba in it was bad?
Yeah, I didn't like it. I really didn't. I mean, I think that the strongest point here is that, like you said, it doesn't really fit with the source material. If you look at the potential of the Suicide Squad versus what they actually produced,
I wouldn't recommend it. But go ahead. Sorry, I was looking at the chat. Say it again.
oh, if you look at the source material versus what they actually produced, there was a lot of potential there that they just lost.
That's fair. I'm not going to like argue with you to the death about Suicide Squad. Right? Like the movie in of itself was just a terrible, terrible thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and concede that they both sucked. I just think that that's the thing. They even made like spin-offs of it with the guy John Cena played, and I thought it was okay. So I personally think that it was okay. The second one, but you're right that it's just not up to snuff, really, especially with the source material. They're supposed to be doing espionage and things of that nature, and over here fighting giant starfish.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it, I can't remember who said it, but there was an interview with a director, and he said that there are two kinds of movies. There are movies that are art, and there are movies that are roller coasters. And I just think the second Suicide Squad was more of a roller coaster, which there's nothing necessarily wrong with, but if we're talking about creative butchery,
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I'll concede. That being the case, Black Adam. You seen it?
yeah, yeah, I've seen it.
What do you think? I thought it was good. It's on my good list.
See, I'm on the fence with this one. I know we're not talking about the Shazam movie right now, but I liked the first Shazam movie. I thought it was fine. Uh, it was goofy, it's a comedy. Because it's a little kid who gets these crazy powers, and anyways, uh, the Black Adam movie was okay. I don't think it was incredible by any means. I think that they did a really good job portraying the ancient civilization and the goals and the reasons that Black Adam acted the way that he did. But with that being said, it felt very one note.
Mm. Well, I think that for an introductory movie, it 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 I think it has a certain level of leeway for being one note, right? Like, what was this supposed to be about?
No, you make a good point.
You know what I mean? So it's like you can. I'm not expecting like even like Iron Man, right? Which we can both agree was a really great movie.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like super complicated. It was just a guy building a suit for half the movie.
That being said, though, I think that what sets Iron Man apart is the creative liberty that Robert Downey Jr. took with the Iron Man character. He was never that sarcastic or jaded as in the comics as he was in the movies. But I think it added a dimension to the character of Tony Stark that he has all these father issues and he wants to prove himself and he has this empire that he couldn't care less about because he wasn't the one that built it, and his struggle in coming to terms with the fact that he is I guess funding wars that don't need to be happening. Um, it allowed it to be a movie more about the character of Iron Man than it did necessarily the building of the suit, even though that was integral and important. While on the other hand, like I said, Black Adam, it was just about Black Adam and his vengeance and trying to save the things that he cared about.
I think that you're kind of just you're not really I think you're doing him a disservice because they did show a certain level of depth, his motivations and things of that nature, similar to with the Iron Man movie. But granted, I will say obviously if we had to choose between the two, I think that Robert Downey Jr. did a better job as a whole. But I think that in a way, um, Black Adam did a very similar thing where it showed his origins, it showed his motivations, it showed his backstory as far as how his son was actually chosen, but he ended up doing it anyways, and all this other things. So I think that it did it similarly, and I don't think it did it necessarily inferiorly. I think that obviously the only shortcomings is that Dwayne the Rock Johnson didn't want to do an accent, right? but but I don't think that I think it had a level of depth.
I do see where you're coming from. I was already on the fence, so I guess I'll concede that.
Yeah. Plus, what Incognito said is true. Black Adam is a man that is time displaced, trying to understand what's going on, right? And so I think that's also a little bit of a factor that you have to kind of put in there too. But let's talk about Shazam.
Sure.
I think both of them fucking sucked.
Can you give me your reasoning? Let's just talk about the first one
Yeah.
because
Yeah, let's talk about the first one. Let me tell you why I think Shazam sucked. Because I think that the actor for the first Shazam movie who played Shazam ruined it. Not him personally. I guess he did what I guess the director told him to do. So I'm going to just say the director then. He acted more childish as an adult than he did as a kid.
okay, you know what? I'll give you that. When I was watching the movie, I was taking into consideration the idea that okay, there's this kid who's like, every kid wants to be an adult, and he is now able to look like one and can get away with all this stuff. So he goes off the rails because of it, right? But when you put it like that, simply that he was acting more childish as an adult than as a child, uh, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, because here's the thing Shazam is supposed to, his powers come from, because his name was an acronym, right? I don't know how much you know about Shazam in the comics, but his name is an acronym. And it shows where he got his powers from. He's supposed to have the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. How much wisdom did you see in the movie? Right?
Yeah, not a lot.
That's the thing. The whole point of Shazam was that and I hate that they kind of tried to make later iterations of Shazam almost similar to the movie, where he's somewhat childlike, and it's like, no, he's supposed to be damn near a different person when he says Shazam. He's supposed to turn into an adult, and that adult has the wisdom of Solomon. And so when you sit here and you have him like, oh yeah, man, oh, so super cool, rad, and trying to do skateboard tricks and shit, like it was lame. It was so freaking lame to see him do that. And I could understand if he did that stuff as a kid, but then acted more like his kid self when he Shazammed. But he didn't. They did the opposite, where like you had this down kid who was depressed and was like just not feeling it and just kind of a little asshole. And then as soon as it's almost like it was two different people. Like he had multiple personality disorder. Like as soon as he transformed, all of a sudden he's a vastly different person.
Okay, so I used the source material card on you already this debate, so I can't disagree with you, and I wouldn't, desire to as far as, in the comics he's very serious. The reason I liked the movie is because it was a fun watch. And I think that there is room for that, especially if they're going to go on and have him grow into, having the capability of using these powers properly and gaining that wisdom over time with getting used to the new power that he has, which didn't happen. That's why I said let's just talk about the first one. Uh, but yeah, I do see what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, and to address what you just said, incognito, I'm gonna say no. The reason being is because I kind of already put a very strict ban on anybody who tries to join the call. I'm glad you asked. I really, really appreciate that you asked. Because if you had joined the call, I would I would have banned you from I would have banned you from the entire Discord. Like you weren't. I don't know if you were here last time because somebody else was trying to join the Discord, even though I think it was like a scam or a bot. And I was very specific about whether or not people can join while we're having debates. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I truly appreciate you asking, but no. Yeah. So like, if it's a lot to type, then maybe I'll talk to you about it later. But yeah, when I'm having debates, you can't join the call. Um, yeah. That being said, Shazam was just dog shit. Like I wanted it to be good too. I really did, because I was super excited when I saw the movie coming out. I saw some of the feats and things he was doing and stuff like that. But he was just too childish for me. Like when you're supposed to be serious and like I thought the villains were okay. I thought the wizard was okay. I don't think it was a terrible movie. I just don't think it was good. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I apologize.
No, it's fine. While we're sitting here waiting for Flair to finish doing what he's doing, is there anything that you guys agree or disagree with in regards to the debate so far? Everybody but Fro Girl, because I already understand that she's going to say some crap about Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad was dog shit, regardless of your opinion on the matter.
I apologize for that.
That's fine. Go ahead and leave it in the chat if you guys have some opinions of your own. I will be reading them. But that being said, let's move on. To we did that one. Is there any that I missed? Green Lantern was dog shit. I think that we should
Yeah.
already agree on that one.
Yeah, that was a bad movie.
Um, I did this one, Joker, Suicide Squad, Black Adam. I thought the Blade movies were great.
The Blade movies were very good.
Yeah, right. Because it's the thing that literally saved Marvel, and it was just
Yeah.
fantastic. I now a lot of people don't care for the third one. I don't think it was bad. Like I think it was okay. Like if you're comparing one, two, and three, it's the worst of the trilogy. But I still think they're pretty solid movies altogether.
I mean, like you said, they saved Marvel. I was going to say first and foremost that I think that they did very well for superhero movies in the first place. Around that time, there wasn't that big of a pull, and everyone loved Blade. But with that being said, an origin story is the best that you can do with a superhero movie or teaming up or whatever. But it, the fact that it had so much success and it was a cognizant through line of the plot, even if the third one was the weakest of the three, it did very well given those criteria.
Yeah. Now let's get a little controversial. I already pissed off Fro Girl, so let's piss off Green Queen while we're at it. Let's talk about X Men.
You might piss me off a little too. Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'm about to talk. We're talking about all of them. So let's get into it. The first X Men movie, the second X Men movie, were good.
I
Lo-
agree with that.
Logan was good.
Logan was very good.
Um, Everything else is dog shit.
Oh. All right, hold on now.
Like, now here's the thing. I think that X Men 3 had a lot of iconic moments.
Hmm. Right.
How
It was the culmination of the war between Magneto and Charles Xavier, and really put to practice everything that the first two movies had told you about each character. And the last stand, the final war between the two parties, really goes to show the different mentalities of mutants and people that are discriminated against in society and what sides that they take for what reasons. Also, Rogue was a badass.
was she though? Like, was she? Like, I don't think we're talking about the same movie. I remember the only thing Rogue did in that movie was whine and cry like a little bitch, and then go get her powers removed.
Listen, wouldn't you have not thought the same thing given all the struggle that you had been put through during the time? I mean, it's good that she had a happy ending, but at the same time, there was
Here's the thing.
what's the word?
Go ahead.
There was a mental war there. There was a push and pull.
I didn't feel bad for her in any other movies. Not one. And I'm going to tell you why. People, I hate that about Western anything, where people have an ability or a leg up on the competition in any shape, form, or fashion. And it's always, woe is me, I want to be normal. But when you have like Asian stuff, like manga, anime, Korean things, Chinese things of that nature, they take those powers and they're like, oh my God, like they act like normal people if they got powers. If you woke up tomorrow and you had powers, you wouldn't be, oh, I'm a freak. It's stupid. That's not how normal people think. You think, hell yeah, I have powers. And you would go and you would do shit with your powers that benefited you, maybe benefited your family, and then maybe if bad guys showed up, you have a lot stronger moral compass than Verzu, so you might even save people. So it's like the idea that I want to be normal. I want to touch people. Like I'm supposed to feel bad for you because you have powers. Get fucked.
I
Like,
think that it goes a little deeper than that, though, because if you woke up with powers tomorrow, but those powers were only capable of bringing extreme pain and harm to other people, and it was something that you didn't necessarily have control over, that would be a little different, right? Like, especially when you are surrounded by others who have all these amazing abilities that they can turn on and off with the flick of a finger.
well, you can
Uh,
take it. That's what
yeah.
you're talking about. She could take them, right? If mutants existed, let's go into a dream scenario. I don't have a soundboard, but I might have to download one for this particular phrase because just like I said in another podcast, let's just go in a dream scenario, and mutants existed, and I woke up with Rogue's powers. I would be how Rogue is in the comics. Rogue in the comics, like Green Queen just said, is a badass. She's can fly. She has super strength. Why? Because she took them and she kept them, and so she can fly. She is super upbeat. She can. She has super strength, and she always has a great attitude, regardless of whether or not she can freaking touch people. But in the comics, they basically made her emo. Or sorry, in the movie they basically made her emo, and what I'm supposed to feel bad because they're like, well, what it's like they literally picked it and they were like, oh, let's talk about the bad side of her powers. That's what people came for. 40 years of comics of her being super awesome, but we want to see the emo ness and her almost never utilizing her abilities. Almost never.
Okay, I see what you're saying, and I can see that they could have done something different with her, right? And that as a character study, if you're just looking at Rogue, the comics are better. But with that being said, I think that she fit her role in the larger plot line of The Last Stand, which they kind of used her as a pawn, as a plot piece to greater explain a different viewpoint of this thing that Magneto and Charles Xavier have been fighting over since the 60s.
Well, here's the thing. No, she didn't. I'm going to tell you why. She was an example of a third path because both Charles and Xavier had a philosophy when it came to mutants where you were supposed to kind of embrace who you are. You're not because that's the thing. That's why they're friends because their philosophies were the same. Their methods about how what to do with the philosophies were different. The philosophies were different. Like I was using, like I said in the earlier debate, it's like the difference between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, where one chose peace, the other chose violence. And and granted, I think that in both cases they have points and they have merits. Now, Rogue, on the other hand, was exploring a third path where it's like, you know what? I am a freak and I don't want my powers. It's almost the opposite of what they were preaching, where both of them were like, you should embrace your ability and embrace who you are. You're not broken. You're not a monster. You are a mutant, but you're still a human being that deserves a certain level of respect, and you shouldn't be treated a certain way. But she was almost on the human side where it's like you are a freak, you're a monster, you ruin everything you touch, and you should be normal. You should be what we think is normal.
She bowed out, right? She decided that she didn't want a part in what was going on in the world. And whether or not, we could debate all day as to whether that's a valid choice, it accentuates, it heightens the idea that both sides of this war are truly being fought for something. And of course, that's not even talking about the rest of the movie. Look at what, oh, what's her name? Uh,
I wouldn't necessarily say she's an outlier, incognito, just real fast to kind of address what he said. Because there's basically in reality, there's two sides. There's the people who think that mutants are monsters, and then there's the mutants who think that they're not monsters, they're people. And just like I said, this is more about civil rights in a way, where it's like we are going to peacefully do things and show people we're not monsters. And then you have Magneto who's like, oh, we're basically better than you in a way, and we're going to show you that we're better because you won't leave us alone. That's the big thing, right? Because even Magneto created a whole island and said, "Hey, all mutants come over here, and we'll just start our own utopia, and we'll be to ourselves." And people still attacked them, and so it's like it's in a way I truly believe, yeah, Korkoa. I truly believe that in a way, Rogue chose the person side, the people side. She wanted to be normal. She wanted to be human, or at least what they believed to be human, which is stupid to me because again, if you woke up with powers, nobody in this chat, nobody in this debate would be like, "Oh no, I want to be normal." Like, I, I, I would pick anybody's powers in X Men damn near to pick out to other than being normal. Almost anybody's. It could be minute, and I would still pick their damn powers or just being a regular human being.
I feel like we're getting a little too focused though. Even if we don't agree on Rogue, right? There are so many other aspects to that movie that I personally believe
Oh, I
are
was gonna
great.
get to
I
them.
mean,
Let's get to another one, right? Because we
sure.
haven't focused on Rogue a little too much. I've been beating on her a little bit. They didn't do the Phoenix right at all.
Okay, fair. But what about like Mystique, man? Tell me that's not the perfect ending to that character, is at least
It's
for
a
the time being.
horrible ending for that character.
It sucked, but it was awesome for that.
Not really. Like, I'm sorry, dog. You want me, the best ride or die on the face of the earth loses her powers and then becomes a snitch out of spite.
Yeah, I mean, right before everything goes down, there's just a total change in the daily progression of Magneto's life. I think that that really adds a level of, is he in his right mind? Is he doing things properly? Is he thinking the way he should be?
Look, man, I I think that she was just a great spy. She was good for espionage. I don't think she actually even really gave him a whole lot of pointers in his day to day, or at least none that was demonstrated in the movies. Right? She was always there and she barely talked. But the thing about it is, she was always getting the information and informing him of things. Now, you could say that maybe that's the aspect of him, like having some form of uncertainty because he didn't have the information that she provided because she was always there giving him information, dressing up as senators and shit like that. But I'm sorry, she just kind of went out like a bitch to me. Like I'm supposed to be like happy about that because she lost her abilities, and I'm I'm getting I almost got ahead of myself. Let me stay on topic. Um, um, yeah, no, I think she just kind of went out like a bitch, and they didn't really do her justice in any way. The only saving grace is that in the Back in Time movie where they had Wolverine go back in time, all the mutants kind of got their powers back. That's the only
uh,
saving grace.
on that note of plot lines, let me try a different approach to see if I can sway you a little bit. What else were they gonna do for X-Men 3? Like another thing about Stryker? Come on now.
Well, here's the thing. Believe it or not, everything that they were doing as far as like the build up of the war and everything like that was fine and dandy. They shouldn't have even introduced the Phoenix. If you like Incognito just said, the Phoenix is a build up character. The sheer amount of time that they put in for Iron Man is the same level of dedication and build up you need for the Phoenix. It cannot be done in one or two movies. You can't mention her in the second movie barely, and then in the third movie have her as a third string, a third string act, like one of three things going on. It has to be dedicated. So they should have just they should have literally axed out all of that. They should have focused a lot more on the war aspect, how people felt it. Maybe going to your point, how mutants in the middle felt about it, like Rogue, who were on the fence. They should have focused a little bit more on the people. And in fact, instead of them having this whole freaking Rogue, not Rogue thing, Phoenix thing, that's when they should have probably introduced the Sentinels. Because in the next movie, they just have the Sentinels there. Well, I won't say the next movie. It's like a couple of movies later. But as far as story wise, the following movie story wise, they just had Sentinels there. Oh, it has um uh Mystique's DNA so they can change and adapt and all this other kind of crap. But there's no build up for that either. They should have had the first prototypes of the Sentinels there during that war, so that it's mutants versus Sentinels versus X Men. I think that
I
would have been
do
a lot better
definitely
story.
agree that by the time they introduced the Sentinels, I mean, it was jarring, really, because there was no build up. They retroactively explained it like three times in the movie, and that was trashy. So I do think that that would be interesting. I'd love to see an alternate reality where that takes place. Uh, but I still think that X-Men 3 holds up.
Man, and here's the thing though. As much as I'm shitting on this movie, I like the movie, right? But I like lots of bad movies.
Come on.
It doesn't make it necessarily good, right? I'm looking at this from an objective standpoint where I'm looking at it and it could have done like if I was going to give this movie a grade, I would give it a 60%.
Mm. I don't know. I mean, maybe I got the nostalgia glasses on really tight. I've loved these movies since I was a kid, but
I think that might be the case, my friend, because it just could have been so much better, right? And don't get me wrong, there are lots of good aspects of these movies. I love Magneto. I love Charles Xavier. Wolverine is always going to get a thumbs up in my book.
oh yeah.
They killed off Cyclops, so so it's like there goes a big part of your thing. Beast was barely doing shit, and I wish they would have showed a little bit more Beast. Because he's usually just an intellectual, but they finally showed him fighting, but like barely. They had the Juggernaut in there. They should have leaned into that shit more.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
When they released Juggernaut, that was so cool.
that's what
I do wish they did more with Angel, but the fact that he was in it is that's a plus one from me.
that's the thing. If they had cut out all of the Phoenix stuff and focused a lot more on some of their side characters and a little bit more on the story, this movie could have been like a plus. It could have been just as good as the other movies. But because they tried to shoe in something they had no business shoeing in, it was garbage. Or at least on the precipice of garbage.
Okay, let's keep going through it, right? Origins was terrible. That movie sucked. I mean, it was just the most like imagine going, "Hey, here's a story about the backstory of Logan of Wolverine," and then screwing it up. I mean, I can't believe we live in that reality. Uh, the Wolverine was really bad too. I mean, just so out of place. I don't know what they were doing, thinking that they'd go, "Hey, let's nerf Wolverine for an entire movie, kind of take away most of the things that make him really cool, and premise a movie based off that." That sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Logan was great. We agreed on that.
Right?
Days of Futures Past, it was jarring. I mean, it was like
Real fast.
I don't know.
See you later, Incog. Thanks for showing up. I understand you got a D&D session. And I know Green Queen got to go to work. But go ahead with what you were saying. We were all going through these.
Yeah, Days of Futures Past, jarring as a movie. I think that the premise was there. I don't think they executed on it very well at all. Uh, Apocalypse was a joke.
Mm-hmm. For this almost the same reason. 3 was a
Yeah,
joke. Tried to shoehorn the Phoenix in there. And then obviously the next one you're probably going to say, obviously, is the Phoenix movie, which was hideous.
terrible. Now, for those of you that pay close attention, I skipped one,
Uh-huh.
and I might I might hurt some feelings here. Uh, I liked X-Men First Class.
Okay.
Now, listen, as a fan,
I,
I
I'm
understand
I'm
that they
glad
retconned.
I'm glad the Incognito had to leave. You were going to hurt his virgin ears.
Look, they retconned some things. There were some errors in the through line of the plot up until that point.
Uh-huh.
But
Now, here's the thing, because I'm going to give you a little bit of leeway. I think story wise, what they did with Magneto was masterful.
Exactly.
I think showing his struggle, how he kind of like showing Xavier help him realize it, how to use his abilities more, and all of those things. Anything that had Magneto in it was a freaking masterpiece. I think Michael Fassbender was a great choice for playing Magneto. He did a splendid job. I think same thing with Xavier. I think Xavier was great. I think that everything he was. I think it's McAvoy, James McAvoy. I think his name is. Fantastic Xavier. I had a little bit of an issue that it wasn't bald at first, but he's a fantastical actor. He did a great job portraying Xavier with his motivations and everything. Beautiful. Everything about those two characters was beautiful. Now, I want you to justify the rest.
Oh, I can't. I like First Class because of those two characters. I mean, getting to see them in a closer place when they're younger, less experienced, they're not so set in their values or their ways yet. The kind of pseudo mentorship of Xavier to Magneto, the dish scene. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
incredible work. The rest, I mean, I was eating my popcorn, bro.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. The rest of it is not that good. They had the worst cast. It's like they spent all their money on Fassbender and McAvoy, but then really cheaped out on everybody else. I think they couldn't have chose a worse person to play freaking. Uh, I'm drawing a blank. Give me a minute. Mystique. And Mystique is one of my favorite X Men characters. I love Mystique. I love her to death. And so when they picked what's her fucking face to play Mystique, boy, it broke my heart almost. I was like, this is a terrible, terrible choice, and mostly because she has such a baby ass face. She has like a kind of a chunky baby face, and I hated it. Mystique was always supposed to be kind of slender and sexy and mysterious, and then you just have somebody who looks like they should be on the Teletubbies, and I'm like she looks like she should play a teacher somewhere. Like she does not have Mystique face, and so it annoyed the absolute dog shit out of me. Beast wasn't really Beast the entire goddamn movie, so it's like, oh yeah, I have weird feet, guys. I'm like, ugh. Was Quicksilver in that movie, or was he? Did he show up in the second movie?
No, that was Days of Future Past.
Okay, because I'm like, I mean, we all love Quicksilver scenes. Like
Oh
it
yeah.
was pretty peak. But that's the only thing that was great about that movie. But yeah, that's the thing. Everything else was shitty. They killed my boy. What's the guy who could adapt to anything?
Darwin.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was stupid, man.
yeah. It was so incredibly dumb how he died. Like, and I think they
Hey
killed
guys.
they killed him for the same reason they don't put Nightcrawler in movies, because if he was there, then the problems would be solved easier.
Hey guys, I can adapt to anything. Look at me put my face in a fish tank. Oh, is that an explosion?
Yeah, and then just die. Like I'm like, really? You just took out the guy who's gonna do anything like that? I'm like, boy, that was. Oh, I'm sorry. They that killed me, man, when they just took Darwin out like that. I thought it was really cool that they had Azazel in there, but again, he was kind of a chump. Azazel's supposed to be kind of a big deal, and they just kind of had him in there as a henchman. And I'm like, ugh. So that sucked. And then him and Mystique is supposed to have Nightcrawler. So in the second movie, you just have Nightcrawler as a teenager, and it's like, did why didn't they show any kind of like anything in regards to Mystique and Azazel? It was stupid. It was so goddamn stupid.
Despite all that, though, I mean, you can't deny that the meat of the movie was really solid.
The meat? No, it's the two characters. That's it. Those two characters did what Will Smith alone couldn't do for Suicide Squad. They carried the hell out of that movie.
Sure
Just the
did.
struggle between good and evil and their feelings and emotions towards people and their outcomes. It was those two guys basically carried the absolute crap out of that movie, but everything else surrounding them was garbage.
Now, are we counting the Deadpool movies as X-Men movies?
No. I'm counting them of their Deadpool movies. Just because they have some X-Men characters in there doesn't mean anything. Actually, you know
can't
what?
can't hate him for the budget.
Now hold on for a second. I'm going to go. I'll give it to you actually, and there's a reason why I'm going to give it to you. Yes, I'm going to count them as X-Men movies. The reason being is because I count the Justice League movies as Superman movies.
Those are great then. I love those X-Men movies.
Yeah, sure, but whatever. I'll give you the Deadpool movies. They're fantastic. Right, they're freakishly hilarious. A bit repetitive as far as Deadpool doing basically the same thing in every movie, and hitting a lot of the same notes, but still fantastic and positively hilarious nonetheless.
Oh yeah.
What else? We spent enough time on X Men. All the other X Men movies were garbage compared to just basically one, two, Logan. Um, I'll give you just. I'll be as charitable as possible. I'll give you First Class. Nothing else. Now here's the thing. There was one. There was what was the next one? No, not the next one. The third one. They had the what's the guy who had where Xavier turned bulbs? Is that the second one or the third one?
I think that was the second one, Days of Future Past,
I think
because it was Days of Future Past and then Apocalypse, right?
yeah, I think that's what it was. I'm not 100% sure, but I will go ahead and the beginning of that movie. Yeah, yeah. I think it was Days of Future Past. You're right. Well, no, it was Apocalypse. Apocalypse is the one that had Apocalypse in it, right?
Yeah.
I think that was the second one, and then Days of Future Past was third.
Really? Hold on.
Now you're about to make me look it up.
Yeah, I'm looking it up too. Days of Futures Past 2014, Apocalypse 2016.
Okay. Then I'm talking about Apocalypse, not Days of Future Past. Um,
Bless you.
thank you.
What a bad movie.
Yeah, Apocalypse was pretty garbage, but the beginning of that movie was fantastic, and it's only because again, Michael Fassbender, when he was like off with his family, and he was like a lumberjack or whatever, and just that part where he's like with his family and everything like that in the woods and stuff like that, and then the town kind of turns against him and everything like that. That scene was fantastic because it showed him trying to blend in, trying to be normal, and then because he helped somebody, they turned on him immediately, which is to me was almost like it shows a little bit more of the justification of why he has the mindset that he does when he's old, not just because of the whole World War II thing, but even when he said, you know what, fine, I'll try to be normal, I'll try to assimilate, and he helped somebody, and then they still turned on him. But after that, trash.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you a lot of hope for a lot of nothing.
uh, I'm out of good ones. So the rest after this is just bad, bad, bad. Well, no, that's not true. I still have the Marvel ones, right? So I can go through the Marvel list as well. Um, Obviously, Iron Man 1 and 2, and even 3. I thought that, no wait, I think it was 2 that people didn't like, or was it 3?
Two was the one that had the guy with the electric whips, and three was about the Mandarin.
I think it was 3 that people had the problem with. No, I think people had no. They're all good. I don't care. I'm not even gonna. All the Iron Man movies are good.
Yeah, I think they're all good movies. Three is the weakest one, in my opinion, but they're
Yeah,
all good.
yeah. Birds of Prey was dog shit.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not even gonna go over that one too much. What else? Now, here's the thing. Thor is one of my favorite Marvel heroes. Like, he's definitely top tier for me. Like, he's right up there with like Spider Man, which is my all time favorite. The Thor movies were not good.
No, no, they weren't. I think
And
that they, at the point they were in, relied too much on the overarching cinematic narrative.
mhm,
Um, a lot of the parts of the first movie in particular felt like they were just a means to an end as far as the Avengers initiative. Um, he was way too goofy, way too often, and I think that Shield had too big of a place in those movies.
I agree. I just I wish they were better. Like, cause again, all the pieces were there, but they. Now I will say that Thor 2, I thought was good.
That was the one with the big construct that was wreaking havoc, right?
No, it's the one where they were on a different planet with the Hulk.
Oh, Svartalfheim.
Sure.
Yeah, that one was fine.
Yeah, that one was pretty good. And that again, they still leaned on the comedy, but they did it kind of well and a little bit more like it was a little bit better. But um that one was definitely the better of all the movies. Now, the last one they did, Thor Love and Thunder, I could have cried.
Dude, I mean, it was so like it's not only that they completely butchered my boy, the
the
God
God
Slayer. I can't.
the God
Yeah,
Butcher.
God Butcher. Right, they butchered the
I
Butcher.
was like, was that pun
Uh,
intended?
no, uh, I mean that's like another Thanos right there. I don't know why they one and done him, especially considering they got Christian Bale for the role, which is just like a miracle in and of itself. Generational fumble. But also the comedy was so painfully unfunny that I felt like I was watching like a tragedy happen before my eyes and I couldn't pull away. Like, when you watch a building explode and you're like, I don't want to see this, but my head's not turning.
And in the comics, them revealing that what's her face? What's the girl's name he likes a lot? Jane.
Yeah.
Um the whole reveal that she had cancer was supposed to be like a big deal because he didn't know. She just showed up, she saved the day, she was doing a great job, and then later the reveal that she had cancer was supposed to be like this huge thing, and they kind of blew their load early and was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, she has cancer." Like, I'm like, "Come on, dog! Like, what if for people who didn't read the comics, you should have kind of like did that a lot better." And like you said, it was so aggressively unfunny. They really did fuck up the God Butcher a lot. Like, it was horrid what they did to the God Butcher, and then they just kept like, I want to say peppering. They kept like just taking fistfuls of bullshit of comedy and throwing it in your face with this aggressively unfunny bullshit, and I hated it to death. Like I said, I could have cried because there were so many scenes that begged for seriousness, and they just had to cut comedy in it.
Yep. Yeah. By the third time those goats came on screen, I got my barf bag out.
Yeah, like I didn't. There's a couple of movies that I've just walked out of One of them was Mortal Kombat. Not the first Mortal Kombat. Um, I wasn't in the United States when that movie came out. But when yeah, I wanted to walk out of that movie. I didn't because I was just curious what how where it was gonna go. But it was one of those movies that I was gonna walk out of. It was one of the most disappointing things I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, granted,
Yep.
I thought that obviously the Avengers movies are pretty great.
Yeah, definitely. I think that they were a not only just like good movies, but a cultural marvel for, what they did.
Yeah, they were freaking fantastic. Almost every movie leading up to that, except for the Thor movies, were pretty good. And here's the thing, though, they did a fantastic job with Captain America movies. I'm
Oh
not
yeah.
even a Captain America fan, but those movies were just gold. Like they made me have a whole new respect for action when it came to Captain America.
The Winter Soldier in particular is a movie that is so packed with just, I mean, different scenery and incredible choreography. I don't know if you caught the Naruto reference in the fight in the streets, but
Yeah,
that was dope.
I did. Everything about it was pretty great. That being said, we already talked about the Flash. Blue Beetle. Did you see that movie?
No, I did not.
Good. Horrible. And Blue Beetle is actually, when it comes to DC, like my top five favorite guys too. And they destroyed that movie. It was so freaking bad. Like I can't even express to you how bad it was. And the cons and again, like I don't understand these directors just fumbling so bad. Like all the pieces are there, the CGI was there, he got the bug. They tried to shoehorn a bunch of comedy in there. They had George Lopez in it, and I like George Lopez, but man, it was such a stupid ass movie. I,
Is just out of curiosity, and this is total just like lack of education on my part. Is Blue Beetle the inspiration for the Tick?
no, I don't think they're related. I would have to do a deep dive on information to see if they're related or if one is the inspiration for the other, but I don't think so. Um, if anything, Blue Beetle kind of is a little bit more reminiscent of Green Lantern, where it's like a regular guy who gets a gift and from space and decides to use this weapon for good, right? The difference is
Hmm.
that the Blue Beetle's suit was kind of meant to destroy, but the Green Lantern ring was more like, oh, you're chosen to be a hero of the cosmos.
Okay, I see.
But I don't think that the Tick and uh, their Blue Beetle are related. I'll let you know later if they actually are or not. But as
I
far as I
appreciate that.
know, they're. I don't think they're related. Um, but yeah, Blue Beetle was dog shit. I liked both Ghost Rider movies. Unpopular opinion.
Yeah, me too. Listen, I don't know if it's some like morbid curiosity or what, but I tend to like all the Nicolas Cage movies just because they're Nicolas Cage movies. But I do think that the Ghost Riders, especially the first one, played very well in pacing and content.
Yeah, I just thought they were awesome. It's like um granted, if I now this one is kind of one that I kind of have why when nostalgia glasses. I just rewatched them too. I can see some issues with them as far as like plot and everything like that. But I just really like them. Like I just like those movies.
I mean, we're talking about creative adaptation here. I think that they did a damn good job representing a badass flaming skull guy on a motorcycle.
Yeah, I will say that the second one was a little bit more. They tried to add more. comedy in there, like him peeing fire and stuff like that, um, and him. I don't know. I'm not gonna get too deep into it. I just like it a lot. Like you said, it's already kind of a loose thing. Him just going around doing whatever the hell he wants for the most part. So it's like me trying to overanalyze it. I don't really feel like doing it.
Heard.
We were talking about the Avengers movies. Let's talk about Spider Man.
Okay, so the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies are incredible, except for the third one, but that's not even Sam Raimi's fault if you know that story. Um, the Amazing Spider-Man movies I thought were pretty good. I think that they definitely fell short of the towering legend that Sam Raimi created. Um, I don't like the Tom Holland ones, man. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I
Here's
don't
the
like them. Listen. They're Marvel movies. They're not Spider-Man movies. That's the best way I can put that.
here's the thing. Believe it or not, I think that each one has issues. Um, I don't. I think because it was the first good Spider-Man that we actually had, people kind of tote the Sam Raimi ones as some kind of like golden standard, but they had a lot of fucking issues too. Like I think that Spider-Man was like very much a crybaby in it a lot. He just cried and cried and cried, and he was crying all the time. I did hear about what was going on with the third one, not in great detail. Maybe you can fill me in with that. But I will say, like I said, each one had their issues, but I liked the fact that each one showcased something integral about Spider-Man in their own way. I think that the first movie, except for the train scene, didn't do a good job of to me as in displaying Spider-Man's strength. The Andrew Garfield version, on the other hand, did a really great job with, to me, almost better than the other two movies when it came to Spider-Man's banter.
Hmm.
I think that when it came to straight just banter and being like funny and like riffing with other people, and he showcased strength a lot better to me than in the first Spider-Man movies. Um, and so that's why I actually a lot of people kind of shit on the Andrew Garfield ones, but I think those were some of the better movies.
Yeah, they're wrong for that. The Andrew Garfield movies are good.
Yeah,
Like I said, I still prefer the Sam Raimi's, but there's nothing wrong with them.
yeah, and and as far as Tom Holland's was, I liked that they focused a lot more on him technically being a kid, like in the beginning. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they sometimes it gets in the way. I don't like the fact that Iron Man is way more involved than he should be
Hmm.
because Iron Man's almost trying to be like a dad to him, and it's like, well, Spider Man can do his own fucking thing, right?
Right.
But I understand that they're trying to incorporate him into the Avengers and stuff like that, so I give it a little bit of leeway as far as Iron Man's involvement. But the thing about it is, I liked that it was him being like in school Spider-Man. I feel like the others kind of glossed over the fact that he was in school, especially the first one. He was in school for like the first movie in the very beginning, never seen him in school again. And then he in the next movie he's an adult in the world trying to get photographer jobs. And then in the third one he's like still doing photography shit. And like they showed him in college occasionally, but like only ever like to show like, oh well, I lost my powers. Oh, I'm back. I got my powers. So no more school. And so it's like I feel like if they're gonna show Spider-Man as an adult, you might as well show Spider-Man what happens when he's an adult. He's incredibly successful. He has like a lab and he's a scientist and stuff like that. But they really didn't. In this one, I think they did a much better job in the third one with the one that you said you didn't care for, showcasing Spider Man's intelligence.
Yeah, so As far as the Sam Raimi ones go, I'd have to be crazy to say that he didn't shoot himself in the foot in at least a couple of ways. I mean, the science aspect just isn't there at all, and that's a very crucial part to Peter Parker.
Hmm.
Um, the school thing, they touched on it a little bit in the first one. His professor talked to him about like you got to decide what it is that you want for yourself, but it was kind of a throwaway line. The third ones, though, and you touched on the point. This is the reason I don't like the Tom Holland ones. It's because it's all about Iron Man. If you look at any of those movies, right, Mysterio is one of my favorite villains of all time, just because he is a perfect match for Spider-Man in pretty much every way. Uh, but in the movie, it's not Mysterio that does anything, of himself, and it's not Spider-Man that saves the day. It's Tony Stark's tech versus Tony Stark's tech. He doesn't make his own suits. He has his first one made for him, and even in the scene where he's like in the plane with Happy, he's making his suit, but he's doing all of it on Tony Stark's technology. Almost like a successor, and posing Spider-Man as the next Iron Man rather than his own hero with his own sets of values really rubs me the wrong way.
Now, you have a point, but I will say that I think that that's kind of very Spider-Man in of itself. Spider-Man has always somewhat kind of taken other people's stuff and then kind of improved upon it. Like I think in certain iterations of Spider-Man. Now, granted, like I said, he designed and he built his own web shooters. He doesn't. That's one thing that I thought was really odd that they did in Sam Raimi's was that they just had him shoot webs out of his skin,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, wow, that's odd. I thought maybe they were going to go with a man spider kind of story thread with that. We're like, oh, maybe he has a lot more spider DNA than the average Spider-Man. You know what I mean? But they never really even really did anything with it. They just kind of like, oh yeah, we just don't want that to be a plot point where he runs out of web shooters, even though that's a big thing with Spider-Man. The
Yeah.
the other two iterations had that where they built their own web shooters. But as far as like other technologies, like Spider-Man's always been kind of a whiz kid when it comes to technology. And one of the big things he always kind of does, especially in the comics, is he does kind of go into fields where Tony Stark is. Toby did. Yes, I'm saying Toby Maguire did what? I'll let you explain. I don't know what you mean by that. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, he's always kind of gone into fields or into organizations where Tony Stark was, and used his technology to improve upon himself. He does that in the comics, and so it's like I didn't see a huge problem with it, but I will say that like you're saying they kind of did put a lot more Iron Man in there than they needed to. However, as a result of them doing that, if he didn't do that, we wouldn't have got the punch in the gut that was Endgame.
Okay, fair point.
So it's like I feel like that's the thing. Somebody made a point to me. Hey Jennifer, how's it going? Oh no, not another one. I'm gonna just let this play out naturally. Somebody made a point to me that all of phase one Marvel is the beginning up to Endgame, right?
Right.
Somebody told me that all of phase one, every single movie, is basically the story of Iron Man. Because and even the side movies were just all building up and when it came to Iron Man. And so it made sense that they're establishing these other relationships that Iron Man had, and that's why it's very Iron Man focused. Because at the end of the day, it was all a story about Iron Man from beginning to end. Iron Man gets his suit. All other characters come and they all start to revolve around Iron Man. Iron Man leads the team with these people. They have disputes with these people, and then ultimately Iron Man makes the ultimate sacrifice. It was all about Iron Man. And so, with that in mind, I thought, okay, it's not necessarily that big of a deal that he was very kind of focused when it came to being in Spider Man's movie.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely fair. I haven't thought about it that way before. But with that being said, there are some aspects. I mean, like Mysterio, for example. I know I brought it up before.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I love him to death, and I think that Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job as he usually does. But it takes away from the agency of the character of Spider-Man when everything's kind of happening to him. At a certain point, I don't know if you've seen the spin-off comic where he finally confronts Kingpin and he takes his mask off and
And beats the shit out of him in the middle of the
oh
prison.
yeah,
One of my favorite moments in all of Spider Man history.
incredible. And that's the whether you realize it or not, after reading that, you recognize that the rest of Spider-Man's stories are that character. He never goes that far. He never makes that decision, but this is the power that Spider-Man has and the struggle that has been relevant since the beginning of his story. With great power comes great responsibility. And when everything is happening to Spider-Man, like in the Tom Holland movies, it takes away from that agency. He's very responsive rather than making decisions of his own.
I suppose I understand that you're kind of like really kind of bent out of shape about the Mysterio thing.
Yeah, I do.
Like
I do.
I never really. I think that he was a very interesting character. To me, he was always kind of just like the scarecrow of Marvel, but like more technology based than drug based.
Yeah.
And so I get that. And you have a point where it's like, it was kind of just Tony Stark's technology basically being the end all be all of everything. But I don't know, man. I'm just looking at Spider Man as a character, and I think that none of them are perfect, and each one showcases a part of what truly Spider Man is that I love so much, and so I think that like I said, he's the only one really that was like showing any tech prowess whatsoever. Like even they showed it a little bit with Andrew Garfield's version, where he was kind of working on his web shooters and stuff like that, but like it was kind of just like a passing moment. But it showed this version of Peter Parker showed a certain level of intelligence none of the others did. Um, I thought it was a little odd that he didn't have his spider sense. I thought he already had it because it's like, how did he um, take like remember when he was like fighting with Doctor Strange and like Doctor Strange separated his soul from his body and he was still moving.
Yeah.
It's like how were you doing that if you didn't have your spider sense? And so it's like the idea that like he didn't have his spider sense at all was weird and that he developed it later. I thought the moment where he got his spider sense and then like just used it and was kicking ass with it like blind was top tier. Like, come on, man, you gotta admit a little bit that that was pretty sweet.
No, you're right. I mean, they're quality movies. They definitely are. And I guess I've gotten a little off track because this is about, creative adaptation. I think that easily, I'll agree with you here, the best scene of Spider-Man doing things behind the scenes, I guess, was in Homecoming when he was mixing the beakers and trying to make the web fluid like in his desk during class.
Mm-hmm.
That was dope. Um, and the fight scenes are great. And I guess the Aunt May spoilers, the Aunt May death thing did hit pretty hard, but I feel like there's not enough agency.
Yeah, I'll give you that, but I think that it does. I don't think it takes away too much of Spider-Man. Granted, even if I concede that they didn't do the best they could when it came to Mysterio, and they add a little bit too much Tony Stark, especially because, like I said, pre Endgame, it was very much everything was basically centered around Tony Stark. So that was kind of the reason. But after they didn't have Tony Stark, they did talk about him a decent amount, but it was still just him doing shit, him figuring it out, him kind of being smart enough to utilize his technology. Because in reality, in the comics, in the future, he very much is very similar to Tony Stark as far as technology and science. He rivals him almost, in fact. And so, them kind of showing you a glimpse of what his future is from the comics, I thought was really, really good. Um, but like I said, even if I conceded the whole Mysterio thing and the Tony Stark thing, I don't think it took away from Spider Man too much.
Fair enough. I do see where you're coming from more than other things like, X-Men 3. Anyways, how do you feel about the Venom movies?
I think they gradually got shittier. Like,
Yeah.
I thought the first one was good. I thought it was a little dark, but I thought it was good. I thought the second one should have been rated R, because it had freaking carnage in it, and to have a PG-13 carnage is a sin. And I think that it just kind of got shittier. And then three, I thought was dog shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the first one was good. I actually hate the second one because it was such a misrepresentation of Carnage. Just a disgusting, horrible misrepresentation. Um, that is not a one and done character. And then the third one lost the plot. I don't know who was in the writer's room, but
Yeah, it's like they didn't have any money left. I hated that Venom was barely in it. It's like
yeah.
they truly wanted to save money, so they're like, "Oh, I have to stay in your body." Like that was such a stupid plot line. Like, "Oh, I have to stay in your body because if I come out, then they'll find us." I'm like, "Really? So you want to save money?" But you had all these other chicks and other people with Venom suits at all times during the day, and I was like, I just hated that they were just taking like similar to your argument with Spider Man, they were taking away from Venom by trying to add in Agony and all these other fucking symbiotes, and it's like, yeah, sure, fine and dandy, but I came here for Venom, and
Yep.
then they tried to, oh, let's tug on your heartstrings because we don't want to make any more movies, so we'll just kill them. And I'm like,
Stupid.
what a fucking lazy ass goddamn story.
Yeah, it could have been so good too, because it was talking about what's his name in All Black. Why can't I remember his name? Anyways, uh that's a great villain, incredible villain, and he was basically a contrivance.
Oh yeah, yeah, no.
No, right. Yeah, they just made him a means to an end, a beginning to a plot and nothing more, and that's insulting.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, why even introduce this dude if you're gonna be all, oh yeah, by the way, we're not making any more movies. Even though the King in Black was like to me one of the greatest resurgence of freaking Venom as a character ever. And it's like, oh yeah, you know this character that everybody loves. We're gonna like give you a lot of lore and just be awesome about it. So it's like
Yep.
the idea that they just kind of just, I, I hated it, and it was such a shame because the first one was really good. The second one, like I said, to me, it was just stupid. I'm sorry, it was dumb. It was a dumbass movie. It was so fucking stupid. It was mostly about freaking Eddie Brock and him having a girlfriend boyfriend fight, and then eventually coming together to fight Carnage, who went out kind of like a bitch. They somewhat hinted at Toxin, which is my favorite symbiote. Then they kind of just like got rid of that whole idea in the third one.
Yeah, somebody read the cliff notes and then typed with their eyes closed.
Yeah, it was like somebody got their son, like their son in the third grade to write the plot for it. It was dumb. And they're like, "Ooh, son, this is a little too expensive. Let's cut it down a little bit by making Venom never appear." And I'm like, "Oh, great, thanks." Um, uh, Everything else, I think we're probably gonna agree was pretty good as far as like Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther. stuff like that. I think we're probably just gonna agree that's good. Did you ever see New Mutants?
No, I didn't.
It was okay. Uh, I think that again they tried to be a little, um, for lack of a better word, politically correct
Mm,
in it, trying to put in some relationships that nobody really cared about. I liked Anya Taylor Joy in it. I think she played. You ever played Marvel Rivals?
yeah.
What's the girl who has a giant Buster sword?
Oh, shoot. What is her name? Uh, Magic.
Yeah, they had her in there, but it was kind of she Anya Taylor Joy played her, and I think she did a good job. She seemed a little nerfed, but then again, they were young. They're supposed to be like kids, you know what I mean? So it's like she wasn't nearly as strong as I think she should have been. Um, I thought Eternals, believe it or not, even though I think Eternals was kind of it could have been better if it was a TV show.
Right.
It was very rushed. Um, it was just rushed. It was very rushed. I think they had a really great concept, and if they had taken the time to explore that concept, it could have been great. But they kind of dropped the ball on that one. They dropped the ball on Morbius for the same reason. I think Morbius needed a lot more time to breathe. Its pacing was dog shit,
Yeah.
and as a
Yeah, for
result, the
sure.
movie was dog shit. Um, Doctor Strange movies were okay. Ant Man. Now the
I think the
last,
first Doctor Strange movie was really good, actually. The rest were okay, but
yeah, I agree. I think the Ant Man movies, the last Ant Man movie to me sucked.
yeah.
Like it was pretty bad. That's the thing. Like after a certain year, all the Marvel movies that came out that wasn't Deadpool and Wolverine was garbage,
Hmm.
like straight ass. Now, nah, I liked Thunderbolts.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, it's pretty good. It has shit. What's his name? The Sentry in it, and
Oh, yeah.
I liked it. Uh, I think that a lot it gets a lot of shit. It was kind of I think it was mixed reviews, if I'm not mistaken. All in all, I think the Thunderbolts is okay. I never watched the Fantastic Four new movie. I was worried it was going to be garbage.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, after like their fourth try, you just gotta give up.
It's like it looked good. I liked the way they did the thing. Like he actually looked like the thing, and he was wearing clothes. Unlike the previous one, which was dog shit. Right. Um, 1 and 2, I thought were good. Were okay. They weren't the best, but they were okay when it comes to Fantastic Four. The third one that had Michael B. Jordan on it was dog shit. I'd put that on the same level as Dragon Ball Evolution, where we just don't talk about it. It's like just horrible, horrible slop. Fucking dog shit. And then the newest one I never saw because I was worried it was going to be dog shit.
I mean, you were probably right. I don't know anything about it, but I'm not a betting man. I'd
Yeah.
put a couple bucks down.
This thing, I've seen some reviews. Some people were saying it was good. Some people were saying it was bad. From what I understand, it was kind of mixed. Like it started off pretty decent, and then it kind of got crappy. Maybe if I have some free time, I'll watch it, but I'm not going to go out of my way. And then I am waiting for Spider-Man: A Brand New Day. Let's hope that this one's good, huh?
I'm gonna watch it.
Oh yeah. And then Avengers: Doomsday is supposed to be coming out this year too. I hope that's not
To be
dog shit.
honest, I feel like I'm too far removed from the overarching plot of the Marvel movies to even be able to watch Doomsday in the first place.
Here's the thing: I saw the cast, and that's the only reason why I'm going to go watch it because it has Sir Patrick Stewart. It has the original Magneto. It has the original Mystique, which I love. It has the original Nightcrawler. It has a lot of people in it, and you people will think I'm sponsored by these guys, but I'm not. Like it just brought back. They're bringing back all the original people for this movie, and so it's like I gotta give it a chance, right? Even if I don't understand it, I don't think anything that happened in the recent years has been worth a damn, anyways. But I definitely got to. I'm gonna see it for those people alone because I've been waiting for the original Mystique to come back because I loved her the most. And then Xavier and Magneto. As long as they're alive, I'll watch their movies.
Fair enough.
I love Gandalf.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. Speaking of dog shit, I'm gonna name two TV shows real fast that were technically superhero movies, but they were fucking god awful. Um, Loki was dog shit.
Yeah,
Loki was dog shit. I don't give a fuck what everybody says. It was garbage. And no, this is a fantasy TV show. I'll save it for later. I was gonna say Rings of Power, but I'll talk about Rings of Power in the fantasy season. But Secret Invasion was also fucking dog shit.
I haven't seen that one.
Good. It was horrible.
Yeah, as far as I know, we're not talking about it, but as far as Lord of the Rings spin-offs go, I tend to stay away from them. Aside from Shadows of Mordor, the games, like it's just not worth it. I watched the Hobbit movies; they were pretty good. Uh, Anything else, I won't touch.
Yeah.
I've seen them fail one too many times for me to believe that they can succeed.
Yeah, I always just wait for movies to come out now, and if they are doing numbers, then maybe I'll give it my attention. But Ironheart, yeah, Ironheart was the other TV show I was going to bring up for it. Garbage, horrid, awful, freaking just they butchered it. And I know this isn't a superhero movie, but they also butchered Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch was dog shit. Lilo and Stitch is my favorite Disney movie, and they butchered it. They absolutely destroyed it. Like, I'm sorry, man, but they absolutely fucking destroyed Lilo and Stitch. I don't know what season I'm ever gonna talk about Lilo and Stitch because it's really more science fiction than anything, I guess. I'm gonna consider Stitch a hero for all intents and purposes, and they they destroyed that movie. Like they horribly destroyed that movie.
I mean, isn't it kind of wild how they can get a TV show adaptation right for multiple seasons based off of a movie and then just like recreating the movie in the first place they can't do properly?
That's what I'm saying, dog. Like Lilo and Stitch had like four movies, a whole spin-off TV show, a Japanese version of the TV show, and they were all better than the movie. And
Crazy.
it was just horrible. And they made Stitch too small. I could literally write a book about everything they did wrong in that movie. But we only got a couple more minutes left, so I'm probably gonna wrap it up.
All right. It seems we agreed on a good amount of things. There were a couple outliers.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that we kind of disagreed with, like some of the X-Men movies and Spider-Man movies. But all in all, we kind of had a good understanding on a lot of these things. That being said, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Flair for being my opponent today on such short notice when, I had somebody we had some conflicting plans. And then also, I want to thank you, the viewers, for coming and, watching the debate. Some of you guys had to leave for obviously more important things. Uh, I'm gonna thank Frogirl for not getting violent, apparently, because I talked about her dumbass movies. Uh, I didn't say anything bad about Neverending Story, so that's the best you're gonna get from me. But I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you about Suicide Squad. That being the case, thank you guys for watching. Nobody can see your comments but me. Actually, no, I think they can still see the comments on Steam. Actually, nope, they can't see your comments, so it's just me. So I'm gonna take a screenshot and I'm gonna report this to the police. So thank everybody for coming and watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Um, Yeah, sorry, Green Queen, we're just ending. But what you can do is you can go on my YouTube channel where I post the full VODs of all these things. And you can rewatch it and show it to your friends. Show it to your friends. I know you guys have some friends that might be interested in these topics, and I appreciate you guys just coming and taking a look see. So yeah, go to the YouTube. You can subscribe to the YouTube where I post all the full unedited vods. Follow on social media where I occasionally, when I have time, post about the feature and tell you when some of these episodes are posted. This episode will not be posted the next day on YouTube because usually you can still find the vods on Twitch, right? So you can watch them on Twitch, but they're only on Twitch for 7 days, and then I put them on the YouTube channel. Yeah, like, follow, subscribe, ring the little dingle, all the good stuff, and then I appreciate each and every one of you guys for coming, and I will talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.